Hello and welcome to a new series of interviews for Alpine Center. In this series of interviews, we are asking our participants to tell us how life after Alpine is. Today we have with us Mr. Jean-Marc Roucos, who is currently employed with Banyan Tree and is responsible for Angsana Corfu. Hello, Mr. Marc Roucos. How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for being with us and for sharing your opinions and your point of view and your experiences for Alpine and our audience. The first question that we would like to know, Mr. Roucos, is how has Alpine helped with your career and how is the life after Alpine been for you?
For me, and I think for many people, there isn't life after Alpine as such. It's life alongside Alpine, because your past always reconnects with you, and also the hotel world is a small world, and a series of events will always lead you from one position to another. But it's likely that because your route is in Alpine, that you will meet somebody who's been in Alpine, or you will hear from Alpine regarding a particular position. I'll give you a brief of how my professional career evolved after I graduated. I obviously, whilst I was with Alpine, I had various training practical placements in various hotels around the world. For example, Hilton Amsterdam was my first one, and that was purely as a trainee. There were others as well. There was a property called Corfu in Rhodes, where I trained as well earlier on. When I left Alpine, I relocated to the UK. Prior to relocating to the UK, I was working for Handries Hotels and Resorts, and that position was purely due to a circumstance involving Alpine. And basically, they had employed another Alpine graduate as well, and they were very pleased with that graduate, so they decided to employ more. And that's a pure example of how our colleagues who have been at Alpine and help each other, in future roles. So I then moved on to the UK. In the UK, very much I spent most 9 years nearly. I worked for Forte Hotels, and then I worked for a company called Regis. It's slightly different to hotels. It's the Regis is a business center operator, and I was responsible for all their conference and video conferencing, which was very new in those days in the UK. And I spent quite a while with Regis, nearly 7 years. And then in 2000, after September 11, I got a call from Hilton. Now, it's funny because that call from Hilton at that time in Athens, Hilton was looking to renovate the hotel for the Olympics, and they wanted somebody to lead the sales and marketing team with the reopening. And it's actually Sybil Hoffman who had suggested my name, because they wanted somebody with a strong British or Northern European background, professional background. So Sybil had mentioned my name to the people who were responsible at that time in Hilton, and they interviewed me, and we agreed, and I decided to come back to Greece from the UK. Now, I spent 4.5 years with Hilton. We reopened the hotel. We did the Olympics together in 2004. We were the headquarter hotel for the Olympics. We won the accolade for the headquarter hotel. It's a very long process. It was very, very good experience. So with Hilton, I was director of sales and marketing for 4.5 years, and after that time, I decided to join Banyan Hotels and Resorts, who were at that time affiliated to Sofitel, looking after 2 properties, Rhodes and Crete, as sales and marketing director. Throughout my time at Capsis, I worked together with the Alpine, because we were renovating the hotels, and we were looking all the time for new professionals. And so, and during these 12 years that I spent with Capsis Hotels and Resorts, I was all the time calling upon Alpine to help us reach our objectives in terms of HR staffing. During all that period, all these last years as well, I introduced Alpine to my brother. My brother is a hotelier working in Portugal. At that time, he was working in the UK, and he was working for Corfu Hotels and Resorts. And surely enough, after a while, they started taking on students from Alpine and graduates. So it's all linked together. It's a very small world, and I think Alpine, from its nature, is very, very well connected, and that's very helpful for all of us who are graduates in Alpine. So life after Alpine, there isn't such a thing for me. It's life alongside Alpine. It's always been, and that's why we support it, because we and when we think of where am I going to find new people? Where am I going to find young people? We always think immediately of Alpine, as professionals, because it's a professional school. We have trust in the brand, in the Swiss brand. We have trust in that. So anyways, after working for Capsis 3 years ago, I was approached by both the owner of Angsana, Corfu, and Banyan Tree, and I decided to come back to the more corporate hotel world, and also, I was excited about this new project of opening a new property. And during this time, again, we called on to the Alpine in some cases for students. So it's a very beautiful relationship, because it has a lot of give and take. You take from it. For example, Alpine is, it was a reason why in the early years of my career, I was successful. And then you have to give back that in terms of taking on students, but you give it back with trust, because you know that you can trust the students.
Mr. Roucos, could you give a message to the current and the future Alpine students and graduates?
If you love this industry, you love making connections, whether it's with guests, whether it's with colleagues, and just if you've chosen this industry, it's because you love it. So just be yourself and keep making acquaintances, because you never know who will be there, later on in your life to either help you or to be helped by you. You don't know, and this is what's beautiful about hotels, is that you make a lot of relationships. You meet a lot of people along the way, and if you don't like people, it's not the right business for somebody who doesn't like people. But if you like people, it's so easy to meet so many people, and to keep in the connections. It doesn't mean that you have to speak to them every week or every month, but maybe once or twice a year. Even that's enough to keep connections. I still have connections with my classmates from Alpine, at least 5 or 6 of my classmates. And we're talking now nearly 25 years later. So it's very, very important to keep your friends, because they're friends. We're all friends. I mean, we all understand each other because we've all been through Alpine, and we know how professional it is. I mean, we know how strict it is on one hand, but That's very good because it prepares you for the future.